No, don't eat that. Keisha's scream cut through the elegant dining room like a gunshot. Every head in the Lotus Garden restaurant turned as she sprinted across the marble floor, her waitress uniform flying behind her. She didn't care about the shocked gasps or the security guards reaching for their weapons. All she saw was the 6-year-old boy Min Jae's son, Ji-woo, raising a fork of japchae noodles to his mouth. The same noodles she'd watched the fiancé, Yuna, drizzle something into when she thought no one was looking. Keisha's hand shot out and slapped the plate off the table. It shattered against the floor in an explosion of glass and food. Ji-woo jerked back, startled and confused. The entire restaurant went silent. Then Min Jae was on his feet, all 6 feet of lethal power and cold rage. Seoul's most feared businessman didn't need to raise his voice. His presence alone made grown men tremble. "You just assaulted my son's meal," he said in perfect English, his Korean accent sharp as a blade. "In front of 200 witnesses. Give me one reason I shouldn't have you arrested right now." Keisha's heart hammered, but she stood her ground, pointing at the beautiful woman in the designer dress sitting beside him. "Because your fiancé just tried to kill him. She put peanut oil in his food, and your son is deathly allergic to peanuts." The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Yuna's perfect smile never wavered. This girl is clearly insane. Min Jae's eyes moved between Keisha and Yuna, calculating, assessing. His security detail had already surrounded Keisha, hands on their weapons. Ji-woo looked up at his father with wide, confused eyes. "Papa, I'm hungry," the boy said in Korean. "Not yet, Ji-woo." Min Jae's voice softened only for his son. Then his gaze hardened back on Keisha. "You're accusing my fiancé of attempted murder. That's a serious claim." "I know what I saw." Keisha's hands trembled, but her voice stayed firm. "I was refilling water at table 6 when I saw her pull a small bottle from her purse. She looked around to make sure no one was watching, then poured it over his noodles and mixed it in. When she turned, I saw the label 100% peanut oil." Yuna laughed, a delicate, practiced sound. "Min Jae, this is ridiculous. Why would I harm Ji-woo? I love him like my own son." "You don't even look at him unless cameras are around," Keisha shot back. "How dare you?" Yuna started to stand, but Min Jae raised a hand. She sat back down immediately, though fury flashed in her eyes. Min Jae studied Keisha with unsettling intensity. "What's your name?" "Keisha Williams. I've worked here for 3 months." "And in 3 months, have you ever caused problems? Lied? Stolen?" Manager Kim stepped forward, nervous sweat on his forehead. "No, sir. She's one of our best employees. Punctual, honest, hardworking." Min Jae nodded slowly. Then he looked at Yuna. "Show me your purse." Yuna's smile finally cracked. "What?" "Your purse. If this woman is lying, you have nothing to hide. Show me." "Min Jae, this is humiliating," Yuna protested, her voice taking on a whining edge. "You're going to believe some random waitress over me? Your fiancé? I'm going to verify the truth." Min Jae's tone left no room for argument. "Your purse. Now." The entire restaurant watched in breathless silence. Yuna's perfectly manicured hands clenched into fists, but she reached for her designer bag with jerky, reluctant movements. She opened it, displaying the contents: makeup, phone, wallet, keys. "Satisfied?" She glared at Keisha with pure venom. "Check the inner pocket," Keisha said quietly. "The zippered one." Min Jae took the purse from Yuna's hands, ignoring her protests. He unzipped the hidden compartment and pulled out a small amber bottle. The label was clear even from 10 feet away. 100% pure peanut oil, cooking grade. The silence in the restaurant became suffocating. I've never seen that before," Yuna stammered. "She must have planted it. This is a setup." "A setup?" Min Jae's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow felt louder than a shout. "How would a waitress plant evidence in your purse without you noticing? And why would she risk her job, possibly her life, to frame you? Because she's obsessed with you. These foreign women, they see a wealthy Korean man, and they—" "Enough," Min Jae cut her off. He turned to his head of security. "Sung-ho, Get the security footage from the kitchen, every angle from the past 30 minutes, and check Ji-woo's plate. I want a lab analysis of any residue. Yuna's face went pale beneath her makeup. Min-jae, please, let's discuss this privately. We're done discussing. He looked at his son with an expression Keisha had never seen on the cold businessman's face. Fear. Raw, parental fear. Ji-woo, did you eat any of your food? The boy shook his head. The lady screamed before I could, Papa. Min-jae closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, he was looking at Keisha. You saved my son's life. Sung-ho returned within minutes, tablet in hand. He leaned close to Min-jae, whispering in rapid Korean. But Keisha caught enough words to understand. The footage confirmed everything. Yuna at the table, looking around, pulling out the bottle, pouring it into Ji-woo's food, mixing it carefully, putting the bottle back. Premeditated, calculated, murder. Min-jae's face transformed into something terrifying. The businessman disappeared, replaced by something much darker, the man who'd built an empire through ruthlessness and violence. The man whose name made Korea's underworld fall silent. Yuna. His voice could have frozen hell. Stand up. She stood, her confidence crumbling. Min-jae, I can explain. You tried to kill my son. Each word was a death sentence. My 6-year-old child. The only thing in this world I love more than power. He stepped closer. And Yuna actually flinched. Why? Because he's in the way. The words burst out of her like poison finally released. You promised me everything, marriage, status, power. But as long as he exists, I'm just the stepmother. He gets everything. Your name, your empire, your love. I get nothing. The restaurant collectively held its breath. Someone was recording on their phone. This would be all over Korean social media within the hour. So you decided to poison him. Min-jae's voice was perfectly calm now. The kind of calm that came before storms. At a public restaurant, during our engagement dinner, where anyone could see. No one was supposed to see, Yuna hissed. It would have looked like an allergic reaction, an accident, the restaurant's fault for cross-contamination. And then, she looked at Keisha with pure hatred. Then this bitch had to play hero. Min-jae turned to Keisha. Thank you, for your bravery, for saving my son. Then he turned back to Yuna. Sung-ho, call the police. Attempted murder of a minor. I want her arrested. Now. No! Min-jae, please! Yuna grabbed his arm. He shook her off like she was contaminated. Touch me again, and I'll have you dragged out. The police arrived within 10 minutes faster than normal. But then again, Min-jae owned half the city. They took Yuna away in handcuffs while she screamed about being framed, about Keisha being a liar, about Min-jae regretting this. The restaurant slowly emptied, guests whispering and recording, already posting to social media. Manager Kim assured Min-jae that Keisha would face no consequences. In fact, she was getting a raise and Employee of the Month. But Min-jae had other plans. Miss Williams. He approached her as she stood by the kitchen, still shaking from adrenaline. Walk with me, please. It wasn't really a request. Keisha followed him to a private room in the back, Ji-woo holding his father's hand and staring at her with wide, curious eyes. Once inside, Min-jae gestured for her to sit. She did, her legs finally giving out from the stress. How did you know? He asked. About the peanut allergy. I pay attention. Keisha's voice was steadier now. You've been here 5 times in 3 months. Every time, you ask about peanuts in the food. You check ingredients. You watch him eat like you're terrified something will happen. I'm a waitress. Noticing details is literally my job. Min-jae nodded slowly. And you risked your life, your job, your safety to save a child you don't know? Why? Keisha looked at Ji-woo, who was playing with a toy car on the table. Because he's 6 years old. Because I saw someone trying to hurt him and I couldn't just not do anything. She met Min-jae's eyes. Some things matter more than keeping your head down. For the first time, Min-jae smiled. It was small, barely there, but genuine. You're either very brave or very foolish. Probably both. Keisha admitted. I'm going to offer you a job. Keisha blinked. I already have a job. As a waitress making what, $2,000 a month? Min Jae leaned back in his chair. I'm offering you $10,000 a month to be Jiwoo's personal nutritionist and food safety specialist. You'll oversee every meal he eats, every ingredient that goes into his food. You'll live in the west wing of my estate, have your own car, full benefits, and protection. Keisha's mind reeled. $10,000 a month? That's what my son's life is worth? No, it's not even close. Min Jae's expression was serious. But it's what I can offer someone I don't know yet. Prove your loyalty, prove your competence, and we'll renegotiate. Why me? You could hire a professional nutritionist with credentials. Credentials didn't save my son tonight. You did. He glanced at Jiwoo. My son needs someone who sees him as a person, not a paycheck. Someone who'll act when it matters. You've already proven you're that person. Keisha looked at the little boy, who was now building a tower with sugar packets. He seemed sweet, shy, and completely unaware of how close he'd come to death. What about his mother? She asked carefully. Min Jae's face hardened. She died 3 years ago. Car accident. Since then, it's been me, Jiwoo, and a rotating cast of nannies who see him as a stepping stone to me. He paused. Yuna was supposed to be different. I was a fool. You loved her? I loved the idea of giving Jiwoo a mother. His voice was bitter. Clearly, I have terrible judgment in women. Keisha was quiet for a moment. This was insane. This man was basically a crime lord. But that little boy needed protection, and she'd just proven she was willing to provide it. I have conditions, she said finally. Min Jae raised an eyebrow. Go on. First, I'm not a babysitter or a maid. I handle food and safety only. You want someone to play dolls or do homework? Hire a nanny. Keisha counted on her fingers. Second, I get Sundays off. Non-negotiable. Third, if I see something wrong nutritionally, safety-wise, or otherwise, I speak up, no matter who it offends. Min Jae studied her. You're negotiating with me. Most people don't have the courage. Most people didn't just slap a plate out of a mafia boss's son's hands in front of 200 people. Keisha met his gaze steadily. I figure I've already used up my quota of dangerous decisions for the year. Might as well go all in. He actually laughed. It was short and surprised, but real. Fair point. I accept your conditions. Do you have any family in Korea? Anyone who needs to know about this arrangement? No. I came here to teach English 2 years ago. Ended up staying. She didn't mention why the bad relationship back home. The need to start over somewhere new. That was her business. Then it settled. Min Jae extended his hand. You start tomorrow. Sung Ho will collect you at 8 a.m. and bring you to the estate. We'll set up your room and go over Jiwoo's medical file. Keisha shook his hand. His grip was firm, professional, but she noticed the calluses. This was a man who'd fought his way to the top. One more thing, she said. What happens to Yuna? Min Jae's expression went cold. She'll be charged with attempted murder. My lawyers will ensure she serves the maximum sentence. And when she gets out, he paused. She'll find that no one in Korea or anywhere I have influence will hire her, house her, or help her. She tried to kill my son. I'll make sure she regrets that decision for the rest of her life. It should have scared Keisha. Instead, she felt a grim satisfaction. Justice wasn't always pretty. Good, she said simply. The Min estate was enormous, a modern fortress of steel, glass, and security cameras. Keisha's room was bigger than her entire apartment, with a king bed, private bathroom, and a view of Seoul's skyline that probably cost more than most people's yearly salary. But she wasn't there to admire the view. She was there to keep a 6-year-old alive. Jiwoo was shy at first, peeking around corners and watching her with cautious curiosity. Keisha didn't push. She set up her workstation in the kitchen, reviewed his allergy list, peanuts, shellfish, and bee stings, and started planning menus. By day 3, Jiwoo started lingering in the kitchen while she cooked. What are you making? he asked in careful English. Bibimbap. Your dad said it's your favorite. Keisha smiled at him. Want to help? His face lit up. Really? Really. But first, we wash hands. Food safety rule number 1? They cooked together. Jiwoo, carefully arranging vegetables in the bowl under her supervision. When Min-jae came home that evening earlier than usual, he found them laughing in the kitchen. Jiwoo, wearing a too big apron and covered in flour. Papa, I helped make dinner. Jiwoo ran to him, excited. Min-jae's expression softened in a way Keisha was starting to recognize the look of a father who'd do anything for his child. Did you? It smells delicious. Miss Keisha, let me crack the eggs. I only dropped one, Jiwoo announced proudly. Only one? That's impressive. Min-jae glanced at Keisha over his son's head, something unreadable in his eyes. Thank you. For this. Just doing my job, Keisha said, but she smiled. That night, after Jiwoo was asleep, Min-jae found her in the kitchen cleaning up. He likes you, he said simply. He hasn't been this happy since before his mother died. He's a good kid. And you're good with him. Min-jae paused. I was wrong to doubt you at the restaurant. I should have trusted your instinct immediately. You were protecting him in your own way. I get it. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Min-jae asked, Why did you really stay in Korea after your teaching contract ended? Keisha considered lying. But something about this man, this dangerous, powerful, surprisingly gentle father, made her want to be honest. Because back home, I was invisible, just another face in the crowd. Here, I'm seen, for better or worse. Min-jae nodded. I understand that more than you know. 3 months later, the news broke. Yuna had been sentenced to 8 years in prison for attempted murder. But that wasn't the headline that shook Seoul. The headline was, Convicted woman claims Mafia boss Min-jae ordered hit on business rival files testimony from prison. Keisha saw it on the news while making Jiwoo's breakfast. Her stomach dropped. She knew Min-jae's business wasn't entirely legal, but seeing it spelled out so bluntly was different. When Min-jae came down that morning, his face was thunderous. It's a lie. A desperate woman trying to reduce her sentence by implicating me in unrelated crimes. Is it? Keisha asked quietly. Jiwoo was still upstairs, but she needed to know. The lie part, I mean. Min-jae met her eyes. I've done things I'm not proud of. Built this empire through methods that wouldn't stand up in court. But I've never ordered a hit. I'm a businessman who operates in gray areas, not a murderer. But you could destroy her life from prison. You said so yourself. Yes. Through legal means, blacklisting, financial pressure, reputation destruction, all of which are perfectly legal if morally questionable. He stepped closer. Are you afraid of me now? Keisha thought about it honestly. No. I'm afraid for Jiwoo. If this goes to trial, if the media circus starts, it won't touch him. I promise you that. Min-jae's voice was steel. Whatever I am, whatever I've done, Jiwoo is innocent. And I'll burn the world down before I let my choices hurt him. Then we protect him together, Keisha said firmly. That's what I'm here for. Something shifted in Min-jae's expression. Surprise, maybe. Or respect. Together, he agreed. The legal battle lasted months. Yuna's accusations went nowhere. No evidence, no credibility, just the desperate flailing of a convicted criminal. But the media attention was brutal. Paparazzi camped outside the estate. Reporters shouted questions whenever they left the house. Through it all, Keisha kept Jiwoo's life as normal as possible. She made his meals, checked his homework, played with him in the garden, and slowly, she realized something. She'd stopped seeing this as just a job. She cared about this kid, really cared. And maybe, just maybe, she was starting to care about his father too. One evening, after Jiwoo was asleep, Min-jae found her on the balcony. The charges were dropped, he said. Yuna's testimony was deemed unreliable. It's over. Good. Keisha exhaled in relief. Keisha, he said her name carefully, like he was testing its weight. When I hired you, I thought I was buying protection for my son. But you've given us both Something more valuable: peace, safety, family. Family, she repeated softly. I know I'm not an easy man. My life is complicated and sometimes dangerous. But if you're willing, he paused, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. Stay. Not as an employee, as part of this family. Help me raise Jiwoo. Help me be better than I was. Keisha looked at the city lights, then back at him. This man who'd terrified her 3 months ago now looked at her like she hung the moon. On one condition, she said. Name it. You teach me Korean. Properly. Because if I'm going to be part of this family, I'm not going to be the only one who can't trash talk in 2 languages. Min-jae laughed, really laughed. Deal. He took her hand. And for the first time in years, Keisha felt like she'd found where she belonged. The moral lesson of this story is that trust your instincts and speak up when you see something wrong, even if it costs you everything. Silence might keep you safe, but action saves lives. And sometimes, doing the right thing in your scariest moment leads you to exactly where you're meant to be.